Welcome back to my channel, Valuable Rare Coins. If you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we'll uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're going to talk about something that may just surprise you, the 1960 United States 1-cent coin. It's a penny, sure, but not just any penny. In fact, this coin is one of the most sought-after items by serious collectors due to its rarity and unique characteristics. The 1960 penny might look just like any other penny in your pocket, but there's more to it than meets the eye. So, stick around as we explore its history, significance, and how this small piece of currency could be worth a lot more than you might think. The story of the 1960 1-cent coin is rooted in a fascinating time in U.S. history. 1960 was a year full of political change and social upheaval. The country was in the midst of the space race, the civil rights movement, and a rapidly changing economy. Amidst these historic moments, the U.S. Mint was busy at work, crafting coins to reflect the nation's evolving identity. The 1960 penny was part of the U.S. Mint's ongoing effort to produce everyday currency while navigating the complexities of American society at the time. On the surface, the 1960 penny may look like a run-of-the-mill coin. It features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. This iconic portrait of the 16th president has been a staple of the penny since 1909. The reverse of the coin shows the wheat stalk design, a symbol of the agricultural heritage of the United States, which was used on pennies from 1909 until 1958. But in 1960, something important happened. The 1960 penny continued to carry the wheat reverse, which made it one of the last years before the design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. What makes the 1960 penny so valuable in today's market? It all comes down to rarity and condition. While it's true that the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies in 1960, most of these coins were circulated in everyday transactions, leading to significant wear and tear over time. However, finding a 1960 penny that is still in mint condition, or better yet, one that features a rare error, is what sets it apart and drives up its value in the coin market. The 1960 penny was struck in copper, and due to its metal composition, it has a rich, warm color that has made it highly desirable for collectors. In fact, coins made from copper, especially from earlier years, have gained a reputation for holding significant value, especially when in pristine condition. But here's the real catch. This penny can have some rarities that really make it stand out. One of the key factors that contribute to the value of the 1960 penny is the double die error. A double die occurs when the die used to stamp the coin has been misaligned, creating a coin with a design that appears to be doubled. This error can cause the words or images on the coin to look blurry, giving the coin a unique and distinctive look. The 1960 double die penny is extremely rare and can fetch a much higher price than a regular penny in circulation. Another factor that contributes to the value of the 1960 penny is its mintage. In 1960, the U.S. Mint produced both proof and business strike coins. Proof coins were specially made for collectors and were struck with more care and attention to detail. Business strikes, on the other hand, were intended for circulation, so they didn't have the same level of quality. A proof version of the 1960 penny, especially one that's well preserved, can be worth considerably more than a typical circulated coin. As with all coins, the condition of the 1960 penny plays a major role in determining its value. The highest valued pennies are those in mint state, coins that have never been circulated and retain all of their original details. These coins are often graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC to ensure their authenticity and condition. A graded 1960 penny in gem uncirculated condition can command a significantly higher price than one that has seen years of circulation. But here's the kicker. The 1960 penny in mint condition, or even better yet, a 1960 double die error penny, has become a highly coveted collector's item. If you happen to come across a 1960 penny in exceptional condition, especially with a minting error, it could be worth a jaw-dropping amount. Now, here's the exciting part you've been waiting for. What could a 1960 penny actually be worth? Well, a 1960 penny in mint condition, with the right certification, could fetch a staggering $190,000. That's right, $190,000 for a single penny. It's incredible, but it goes to show how important it is to pay attention to the details when it comes to coin collecting. A penny that may seem like nothing more than pocket change could, in fact, be a hidden treasure. So, what should you do if you think you've found one of these valuable coins? The best thing you can do is to get it professionally graded. Professional grading will help you determine its value and ensure that you're getting the right price for it in the market. Coin collecting is an exciting and rewarding hobby, and finding a 1960 penny could be the start of a whole new collection. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting, always keep an eye out for rare coins like the 1960 penny that could make your collection worth a small fortune. Second rare coin, we're going to take a closer look at a coin that's been hiding in plain sight for decades. The 1967 United States 1-cent coin. While most of us probably think of pennies as the least valuable coins in circulation, this particular penny is far from ordinary. In fact, it could be worth a small fortune, and you might be surprised to learn how. The 1967 1-cent coin is part of the Lincoln Penny series, which has been in circulation since 1909. On the obverse of this coin, you'll see the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His image has adorned the penny for over a century, making it one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. The reverse of the 1967 penny features the wheat ears design, which had been used on pennies since 1909 until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. But in 1967, the wheat reverse was still in circulation, making it an important year for collectors. So, what makes the 1967 penny so special? Well, the answer lies in its rarity and condition. While many 1967 pennies were minted and circulated, not all of them have stood the test of time. The majority of these pennies have suffered wear and tear due to being in circulation for decades, which drastically lowers their value. However, those that have been kept in pristine condition or uncirculated are extremely valuable to collectors. But here's where things get even more interesting. The 1967 penny also has some distinctive features that could make it worth much more than a standard penny. One of the key factors that can significantly increase the value of the 1967 penny is a minting error. During the minting process, sometimes errors can occur that result in coins with unique characteristics. These errors could include things like double strikes, misaligned dies, or off-center strikes. These errors are rare and can make a coin highly desirable to collectors. Among the most notable errors for the 1967 penny is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck twice by the die, creating a doubled image on the coin. This can happen to any part of the design, from the lettering to the image of Lincoln himself. If you happen to find a 1967 penny with a double die, you're in luck. These coins are highly sought after, and they can be worth far more than their face value. Another factor that makes the 1967 penny desirable is the low mintage. In 1967, the U.S. Mint produced a large number of pennies, but many were used for everyday transactions and wore down over time. As a result, high-quality, uncirculated examples of the 1967 penny are now quite rare. The fact that these coins were produced in large numbers, but not all of them survived in great condition means that finding a well-preserved one today is a significant find. Now, let's talk about the grade of the coin. When it comes to coin collecting, the condition of the coin is everything. Coins are graded based on their level of wear, ranging from poor to mint state. A mint state coin is one that shows no signs of wear and retains all of its original detail. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. If you come across a 1967 penny that's in ungraded, uncirculated condition, it could be worth much more than a typical circulated example. Another key factor to consider is the coin's provenance. If your 1967 penny has been authenticated and graded by a reputable professional grading service, its value can skyrocket. Grading companies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, assign a grade to the coin, which provides potential buyers with confidence in its authenticity and condition. SO. How much can a 1967 penny actually be worth? If you have a well-preserved penny or one with a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a real treasure. Depending on the condition and specific characteristics, a 1967 penny in top grade could be worth as much as $180,000. Yes, you heard that right. $180,000 for a single penny. It's hard to believe, but this goes to show how much value can be hidden in what seems like a tiny, insignificant coin. A rare minting error, an uncirculated example, or a coin with exceptional features could make this penny worth more than some cars if you happen to find a 1967 penny in your collection or while searching through your spare change. Don't be too quick to dismiss it. It might be worth getting it professionally graded, as you could be sitting on a small fortune. SO. What should you do if you think you've found a valuable 1967 penny? First, inspect it carefully for any potential minting errors or signs of wear. Then, consider having it graded by a professional service to determine its value. A professional grading can help you understand exactly what you have and ensure that you get the best possible price for it when selling or trading. Coin collecting is a rewarding hobby, and discovering a rare coin like the 1967 penny could make all the difference in your collection. Who knows? This humble penny could become the crown jewel of your collection and turn out to be worth far more than you ever imagined. Third expensive coin, we're diving into a coin that you might have overlooked in your spare change, the 1970 United States 1-cent coin. You might be wondering how a humble penny could be worth anything significant, but trust me, the 1970 penny is not your average coin. The 1970 penny was minted as part of the Lincoln Cent series, a series that has been circulating in the U.S. for over a century. The design features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, on the obverse. This image, created by artist Victor David Brenner, has been featured on the penny since 1909, and it's one of the most recognizable portraits in the history of American coinage. On the reverse side of the 1970 penny, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, which was introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. At first glance, the 1970 penny might seem like just another regular coin from the 1970s. After all, it was minted in large quantities, and millions of these pennies were distributed for everyday use. But as you might have guessed, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. In fact, the 1970 penny is known to have some very specific features that make it highly desirable among collectors. The main reason the 1970 penny is so valuable lies in its rarity and the condition in which it has been preserved. Let's break it down a little further. Most of the pennies from this year were circulated extensively, which means they're worn down and damaged from being in people's pockets, wallets, and loose change trays. However, if you happen to stumble upon one in pristine condition, especially if it's uncirculated, it could be worth far more than its face value. This is because mint state coins, those that are free from wear and tear, are far rarer and highly sought after by collectors. But it doesn't stop there. Some of the 1970 pennies are worth more because of minting errors. Over the years, coins can sometimes have mistakes during the production process. These mistakes can range from double strikes to misaligned dies or off-center prints. Errors like these make coins unique and extremely valuable, as they're one of a kind. In fact, some collectors specifically seek out these rare error coins because they are considered to be the ultimate prize in coin collecting. One of the most sought-after errors in the 1970 penny is the double die error. This happens when the die strikes the coin more than once, creating a double image on the coin's design. The double die error can affect various parts of the coin, from the lettering to the image of Lincoln. If you happen to have a 1970 penny with a double die, it could be worth a small fortune. Double die errors are rare, and the more prominent the doubling effect, the higher the coin's value. Another aspect to consider is the mintage of the 1970 penny. While it's true that many were minted that year, the total number of uncirculated or high-quality coins that have survived over the decades is quite small. As time goes on, the number of well-preserved 1970 pennies continues to dwindle, making them even more valuable to collectors. So, if you find a 1970 penny in mint condition, you're looking at something that could be worth much more than just 1 cent, in addition to its rarity, condition, and potential minting errors. Another factor that boosts the value of the 1970 penny is the fact that it is part of the historical context of the era. The 1970s were a time of great change in the United States, and coins from that period reflect the culture and events of the time. As coin collectors look for pieces of history to add to their collections, coins like the 1970 penny become more and more desirable. If you're wondering exactly how much a 1970 penny could be worth, you might be shocked to find out that in the right condition, it could be worth an incredible $150,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $150,000 for a single penny. While not every 1970 penny will fetch that kind of money, finding one in uncirculated or error condition could make you a very lucky collector. Imagine going through your old jar of pennies or searching through your change, only to stumble upon a 1970 penny that's been kept in perfect condition for over 50 years. It's like finding a hidden treasure, and you might just find that this small coin could turn out to be worth more than you ever expected. So, the next time you find a 1970 penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment to check the condition, look for any signs of minting errors, and consider having it professionally graded. You could be holding onto a coin that's worth far more than just a penny. Keep your eyes peeled, and you might just find your next big discovery. Especially, we're talking about a seemingly humble coin, the 1971 1 cent coin. You might think that a penny, something that's been in circulation for decades, can't possibly hold any real value. But you'd be surprised. This particular coin has a fascinating backstory, and its value could be much higher than you'd expect. Stick around as we dive into why this coin could be worth up to $120,000. Let's start with a bit of context. The 1971 penny was minted during an important period in U.S. history. The U.S. was in the midst of significant economic and social changes during the 1970s. The 1971 1 cent coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which is where the D mint mark comes from. This mint mark tells collectors exactly where the coin was produced, and for this specific penny, it's Denver, Colorado. Now, you may be thinking, why is a 1971 penny special? The answer lies in a few key factors: rarity, condition, and mint errors. While millions of pennies were minted in 1971, the vast majority were circulated and have been subject to the wear and tear of daily use. Over time, most of these coins became damaged, worn down, and tarnished. This is normal for a coin that's been used in transactions for over 5 decades. But here's the thing. High-quality examples of the 1971 penny, those in mint condition, are relatively rare. Coins that have remained uncirculated and in pristine condition are far harder to find and are more sought after by collectors. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin that has been kept in great shape without any scratches, discoloration, or wear can command a much higher value than a worn-out one. Uncirculated coins, those that have never been used in commerce, are highly prized by collectors, and the 1971 penny is no exception. But there's more to this coin's value than just its condition. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1971 penny is that there are certain mint errors that can make it even more valuable. Mint errors occur when something goes wrong during the coin's production, and these mistakes are what make some coins incredibly rare. One of the most famous errors associated with the 1971 penny is the double die error. In the case of a double die error, the coin is struck multiple times by the die, which causes the design on the coin to appear doubled or misaligned. This creates a unique, one-of-a-kind appearance that can significantly increase the value of the coin. A double die error penny from 1971 could be worth substantially more than a regular penny from the same year. Collectors often seek out these error coins because they are rare, and finding one with a double die error or another type of minting mistake can make the coin extremely valuable. If you're lucky enough to find a 1971 penny with one of these errors, you could be holding onto a coin worth a lot more than its face value. Another factor that contributes to the value of the 1971 penny is its historical significance. Although it may seem like a small, unremarkable coin, it was part of the last years in which the U.S. used bronze to mint pennies. In 1982, the U.S. began switching to copper-plated zinc pennies, so the 1971 penny is one of the last of its kind. For collectors, this means the coin holds a certain level of nostalgia and historical value that adds to its appeal. It's also important to note that the 1971 penny is part of a larger series of pennies that have been part of everyday life for many generations. The Lincoln cent design, featuring the profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, is iconic and continues to be one of the most recognized images on U.S. currency. The reverse side of the coin features the Lincoln Memorial, which has been on the penny since 1959. The lasting image of Lincoln on the penny makes it a symbol of American history, and as time passes, collectors continue to seek out well-preserved examples of these coins. So, how much could your 1971 penny be worth? If you have one in perfect condition, or, even better, if it has a rare minting error like the double die, your coin could be worth a staggering $120,000. Yes, you read that right, $120,000 for a single penny. While not every 1971 penny will fetch such a high price, it's definitely worth checking your collection to see if you have one of these rarities. Imagine going through your old coin jar or finding a 1971 penny among your spare change, only to realize it could be worth a small fortune. Coins like this can easily slip through the cracks, but now you know to give them a closer look. Whether it's in mint condition or a rare error coin, this little penny could become a major asset to your collection. Next coin, we're going to talk about a fascinating and valuable penny from 1973, the 1973 1 cent coin. While the penny may seem like one of the most common coins in circulation, this particular version holds a special place in the hearts of collectors. You won't believe how much this little coin could be worth, so stick around to find out more. Let's start with a bit of background on the 1973 1 cent coin. Minted at the Denver Mint, the D mint mark on this penny tells us that it was produced in Colorado. In 1973, the United States was going through a range of social, political, and economic changes, and the 1973 penny was no different from other coins of its time. The coin features the iconic Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and on the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial. This design, which has been in use since 1959, has become a staple of U.S. currency. The 1973 penny was struck in copper, as was customary for most pennies until the mid-1980s. It was a standard year for coin production, with billions of pennies minted. So, what makes this specific penny stand out? Well, a few factors come into play when determining its value. First and foremost, one of the most important aspects of coin collecting is the condition of the coin. Coins that have been well preserved or have never been in circulation can be worth significantly more than those that have seen a lot of wear and tear. So, if you've kept your 1973 penny in excellent condition, it might be worth a lot more than its 1 cent face value. Now, let's talk about something that really gets coin collectors excited: mint errors. Mint errors happen when something goes wrong during the production process, resulting in a coin that's slightly different from the norm. The 1973 penny is no exception. If you're lucky enough to find a 1973 penny with a double die error, for instance, that could increase its value dramatically. A double die error occurs when a coin is struck twice by the same die, causing the design to appear doubled or misaligned. It's an unusual mistake, but it's one that collectors highly value. A double die error can make a seemingly ordinary penny look completely different from the standard version, and these coins are often in demand. On top of that, toning can also increase the value of a coin. Over time, exposure to air and other elements can cause the coin to develop a patina or color changes. Some collectors actively seek out coins with interesting or unusual toning, as it can make the coin even more unique and visually appealing. But what really makes the 1973 D1 cent coin so valuable is the rarity of high-quality examples. Although millions of these pennies were minted, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is a rarity in itself. Uncirculated coins that have been carefully preserved are highly sought after in the collecting world, and if you have one in mint condition, you could be holding onto a small fortune. Another important thing to consider is the historical significance of the 1973 penny. While it may not have been part of any major historical events, it is part of a long-running tradition of U.S. coinage. The penny, in particular, is a symbol of American history, and many collectors have a soft spot for coins that have been in circulation for decades. So, how much could your 1973 D1 cent coin be worth? Well, if you happen to have one in mint condition, or better yet, one with a rare mint error, your 1973 D penny could be worth a staggering $110,000. That's right, $110,000. While not every penny from this year will fetch that price, it's certainly possible if you've got an exceptional example in your collection. Imagine the excitement of finding a coin you thought was just a simple penny, only to realize that it could be worth so much more before you start checking every 1973 penny in your jar. It's worth noting that finding one with these rare attributes isn't easy. But it's always fun to imagine that your next penny could be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. It's the thrill of the hunt that keeps coin collectors searching, always hoping to uncover that hidden treasure. If you have a 1973 D penny and you think it might be worth more than its face value, make sure to check its condition. Look closely for signs of mint errors, like the double die or other unique characteristics. If you're lucky enough to find one, it could turn out to be worth much more than you ever thought possible. So, the next time you find yourself with a 1973 D penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment to examine it closely. You might just have a coin worth $110,000 in your hands. Last unique coin, we're going to focus on the 1982 D1 cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that has the potential to fetch a shocking price. If you thought a penny was always just worth its face value, prepare to be surprised. Let's dive into the details of this particular coin and discover what makes it so valuable. Let's begin with some history about the 1982 D penny. This coin was struck in 1982 at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the mint mark D on the reverse side of the coin. The design, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, was first introduced in 1909 and continued until 2008, making it a classic and instantly recognizable design for U.S. coins. At first glance, a 1982 D1 cent coin doesn't seem all that special, right? After all, it's just one of the billions of pennies that were minted that year. But this coin stands out due to the unique and fascinating changes that happened during 1982 in terms of the composition of pennies. That's right. This is one of those years where the United States Mint transitioned from the classic copper pennies to a copper-plated zinc penny. The 1982 pennies were actually minted in two different compositions: the traditional copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc, and the new copper-plated zinc, 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. This change was due to the rising cost of copper, and it created some varieties of the 1982 penny that can make a huge difference in their value. Here's where it gets really interesting: the 1982 D copper penny. The one minted in the traditional copper composition is much rarer than you might think, and this rarity can make it incredibly valuable. When people talk about rare pennies from 1982, they are usually referring to the 1982 D copper penny, which was mistakenly mixed in with the zinc pennies that year. These coins are quite hard to find, and if you've got one in your collection, you could be holding onto something truly special. Now, let's talk about coin condition. Like with all collectibles, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value. Coins that have been well preserved, especially those that are still in mint condition, are worth far more than those that have been circulated heavily. A 1982 D copper penny in uncirculated or MS 65 condition could easily bring in a higher price at auction. Coins that show little to no wear, where the details on the design are still crisp and clear, can fetch a premium because they are considered more desirable to collectors. So, if you happen to have one of these well-preserved 1982D copper pennies, it could be worth a pretty penny. And don't forget about the significance of mint errors. Mint errors can occur when a coin is struck incorrectly during the production process, and these errors can make certain coins incredibly valuable. While the 1982D copper penny itself is rare enough, if you happen to find one with an error, whether it's a double die, a misaligned die, or another type of minting flaw, you could have a real treasure on your hands. Mint errors are extremely sought after by collectors, and they can skyrocket the price of a coin. So, always take the time to carefully inspect your coins for these potential errors, as they can make all the difference in the coin's value. You might be wondering, how much is a 1982D 1-cent coin worth, really? Well, depending on the condition and the specific characteristics of your coin, it could be worth quite a lot. While the regular 1982D copper penny is certainly more valuable than a typical circulated penny, there's one specific version that could be worth a lot. If you happen to have an uncirculated 1982D copper penny or one with a mint error, the value can go up dramatically. In fact, this coin can be worth as much as $100,000. Yes, you heard that right, $100,000 for a single penny. Of course, you'll need to find one in excellent condition and possibly with a mint error, but there have been reports of 1982D copper pennies fetching high prices in the right market. That means your old penny might not be as ordinary as you thought. It's incredible to think that something as simple as a penny, which you might toss into a jar or leave in the bottom of your pocket, could be worth so much. For coin collectors, the thrill of discovery is part of what makes this hobby so exciting. Imagine going through your coin jar, coming across a 1982D penny, and realizing that it could be worth $100,000. It's moments like these that make coin collecting so captivating, as there's always the possibility that you'll find something rare and valuable just waiting to be discovered. So, if you have a 1982D 1-cent coin, don't just dismiss it as another penny. Take a closer look. Check for the copper composition, examine the condition of the coin, and look out for any mint errors that could increase its value. You never know, you might just have a $100,000 penny in your hands. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1982D 1-cent coin and want to learn more about other rare and valuable coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Until next time, happy coin hunting and keep an eye out for those hidden treasures.